Here's your news for April 27th, 2020. Here are some major headlines for today. Jerry Lawler explains Ramen Noodle Moonsault comment on WWE Raw. Vince McMahon sees big things in a new superstar. WWE superstar causing trouble backstage. Nia Jax drops new video for her haters. Why Renee Young got heat from WWE. Prominent AEW wrestler was once considered to win Money in the Bank, and more. We are kicking off with news from Monday Night Raw, as it wasn't too long ago that Jerry Lawler came under fire for describing an Akira Tozawa senton as a, quote, ramen noodle moonsault, which many fans deemed stereotypical and racist. After WWE edited the line out of rebroadcasts of the show, Lawler addressed the situation on his podcast, saying he heard Mauro Ranallo call moves he thought sounded made up, so he tried to think up names for moves himself. He said, I would say something like, there's the ramen noodle moonsault, and he would say, oh King, you know there's no such thing, and we would just go on. I was doing it just to play devil's advocate with Mauro. If I were still doing commentary with Michael Cole or JR, we had the chemistry to where each one of those guys would have known that I was almost making a fool of myself by claiming that I was acting like I knew what this unbelievable looking move was. Then either Cole or JR would have said, oh King, you know better than that. With Byron and Tom, we don't have that chemistry yet. We've only been working together for a short time, so when I said that, they didn't even acknowledge it, so it kind of went out and they just kept talking and I kept talking. I didn't think anything about it either. We are not quite sure my broadcast partners didn't call me out for my bad commentary is much of a defense, but it should be noted that the King never apologized for his comments and doesn't seem to see anything wrong with what he said. From one legend of WWE to a new face in the company, as Cal Bloom lost decisively to Sheamus on last Friday's SmackDown. But according to Wrestling News, Vince McMahon and several others have taken a shine to the second-generation superstar. The son of Bo Beverly, Bloom is already receiving high praise, as the Wrestling News reported, everyone is comparing him to a young Edge, said one WWE source. He's rough around the edges, but he has something, and Vince thinks he can be a big deal, but it'll take some time. It's no secret that Vince McMahon prefers big guys like Bloom, and with so much praise being given for the second-generation superstar by Performance Center trainers, we doubt that his loss to Sheamus will be the last time fans see him. While Bloom's career in WWE is just beginning, Zack Ryder was released recently after 14 years with the company, and has already hinted at his future outside of the company. Older fans will remember Ryder's WWE Internet Championship, which was never used on WWE TV, and was retired when WWE canceled his Z True Long Island Story YouTube series, and now the former superstar is seemingly bringing the title back. On April 21st, Ryder, who will now compete under his real name Matt Cardona, registered trademarks for Internet Champion and Always Ready, a phrase he would sign off tweets with while in WWE, letting the higher-ups know that he was constantly looking for an opportunity. Of course, WWE rarely gave him anything to work with, but now he can use the catchphrase however he wants, after filing the trademarks with Michael Dawkins, the same attorney who has registered a lot of AEW trademarks. Dawkins was also the attorney that Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood used when filing their trademarks, and it's interesting that so many stars are using the Schumacher, Loop, and Kendrick law firm. Back to WWE now, and while the company is still producing weekly content, fans just aren't tuning in like they used to. For the past few weeks, ratings have slumped, and last Friday's edition of SmackDown, which featured appearances from Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Vince McMahon, barely broke 2 million viewers. Now, a source from Ringside News has said that everyone is afraid to talk about it, referring to the falling ratings, which were described as very bad. While SmackDown isn't doing well, the Blue brand is garnering an average of 200,000 more viewers from Raw, as the Fox network is much larger than USA, and Raw also has a third hour that brings their average viewership down. Given that most sports shows have been shut down due to the ongoing situation, Fox has given WWE more airtime on FS1, but the FS1 block of WWE programming that airs on Tuesday nights before WWE Backstage clearly hasn't led to an increase in viewers. Hopefully WWE will be able to figure out what they need to do in this unprecedented situation, but for now, things continue to go from bad to worse for the company's ratings. Speaking of the Blue brand, one man who hasn't been seen in quite some time is Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, who wasn't on SmackDown last Friday or the week before that. Though Zayn had oral surgery to blame for missing the April 17th show, Ringside News is reporting that Zayn did not miss last week's show due to surgery, but we're told that Sami has been a complete pain to the SmackDown team. The source added that he stirs up other members of the locker room and said that he's always trying to cause trouble. Time will tell when Sami will appear on Friday Night SmackDown again, as while Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura were on the show last Friday, they weren't joined by the Intercontinental Champion. Zayn is currently not booked for any matches at Money in the Bank on May 10th, but for now, it sounds like the creative team is having a difficult time coming up with something for him to do. One person who will compete at Money in the Bank is Nia Jax, and while the former Raw Women's Champion has her eyes set on the briefcase, she's having some fun along the way. Recently, Jax caused a stir online after being rough with Kairi Sane on Raw, and even used the botch move to send a message to Ronda Rousey in response to the Hot Rod's comments about wrestling being fake. Now, Jax has uploaded a video caption, "When haters try to come for me," along with several emojis that show her confidence. Nia seems to be in a very good mood in the video, and while she does have a few haters, it seems the irresistible force is paying them no mind. We've got news from WWE Backstage next, as it wasn't too long ago that AEW World Champion Jon Moxley popped up on the show to say hi with his wife Renee Young, and while everyone on the show had a laugh, those backstage in WWE didn't find it so funny. While speaking to PW Insider Elite, Moxley was asked if his wife got heat from WWE over his appearance, and said that the short answer was yes, but didn't go into much detail afterwards. The former Dean Ambrose hasn't made any appearances on Backstage since then, while his wife Young continues to host the show each week, and even had a rare appearance on the latest Friday Night SmackDown. Back to news from WWE's recent releases, as though over 100 employees were fired, some are still being used on WWE TV. Drake Maverick is still a part of the NXT Cruiserweight title tournament, where he has the chance to save his job, though it's being reported that NXT stars have been given a 30-day non-compete clause, much shorter than the main roster's 90 days, although Fightful Select are reporting that not all NXT superstars are being held to the 30-day rule. One person who is also reportedly still close to WWE is Sarah Logan, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted in their latest issue that Logan was backstage for Raw this week, and while a segment was planned for her, it was ultimately cut. They said, "A segment where she'd be linked up with the Viking Raiders has been dropped or may take place in the future, but even if she is on Raw next week, that doesn't mean her firing was rescinded." It's no secret that Logan is married to Eric of the Viking Raiders, and the 26-year-old has remained close to Orlando in case WWE needs to call on her again. The last fans saw of the former Riot Squad member, she was selling a broken arm thanks to Shayna Baszler, but it may just be a matter of time before Logan is back with WWE and with the Viking Raiders. We're looking at AEW now, and Cody Rhodes had a busy weekend on Twitter, where he answered fans' questions and revealed big plans for him in WWE that never transpired. When one fan commented that Rhodes should have won Money in the Bank, the former superstar said that the plans changed for Dolph Ziggler to win just hours before the show, and said that the change helped him grow into the person he is today. Another fan later commented that out of the AEW roster, Jungle Boy should get more screen time, and Rhodes agreed, saying he hoped to have a singles match with a young, popular star this year. Now back in January, WWE fired their co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, reportedly due to an internal conflict with Vince McMahon. Since then, both parties have kept hush about what happened when the pair were let go, though a recent SEC filing has unearthed the paperwork, which said that Wilson and Barrios qualified for discretionary bonus payments for 18 months, but also had to inform WWE within 5 days if they got any other jobs in the time period. This extra 18 months of salary started 1 week after the pair were fired, and it's only fair to see them receive such a generous severance package after both worked with WWE for a very long time. Speaking of firings, Lance Storm was just one of many producers furloughed from WWE earlier this month, but this has left him open for a return to the ring. On Twitter, a fan asked Storm about the rumors of Chris Jericho wanting Storm to be his final opponent, and Lance replied saying, "We've both talked about doing that, so it's a possibility." If you've read Chris Jericho's first autobiography, then you'll know that Storm and Jericho met when they were both training, and given that Storm's last WWE match took place in 2005 against Jericho, the pair could cross paths again when the Fozzy star hangs up his boots for good. We are going back in time now, as yesterday marked 20 years since David Arquette won the WCW World Championship, in what is remembered as one of the worst booking decisions by Vince Russo and WCW's creative team. After WWE on Fox sent out a tweet to celebrate this landmark moment, Storm shared his views on the title change, saying, "Should probably add he pinned Eric in a tag team match to win the world title from his own tag partner, celebrates with him despite just losing the world title. To be the man, you gotta beat the… oh, never mind." It should be noted that Arquette, a huge wrestling fan, didn't want the title, and instead donated all his WCW earnings to Darren Drozdov and the families of Owen Hart and Brian Pillman. It's often said that hindsight is 20/20, and looking back, it's obvious that Arquette as world champion didn't help WCW, but given that fans are still talking about it to this day, the controversial decision certainly left an impression with the fans. We're taking a look at China next, as after the WWE Hall of Famer's departure from WWE in 2001, the ninth wonder of the world never returned before her sad passing in 2016. Speaking on a Backlash 2000 edition of Grill and JR, the AEW commentator explained the reasons behind her leaving, saying that money was a factor in the decision. He said, "She wanted $1 million guarantee because she felt like she was worth more being a female, being more unique than Stone Cold, some of the other guys. There was only a handful of guys making $1 million per year." Ross added that Vince McMahon left the decision about Chyna's contract up to him, saying, "I said, Vince, if I can't get a decent number, we may have to pass on it." He said, "Well, that's your call. I couldn't give her $1 million a year. Could she have earned over $1 million per year? She probably did a couple of times if I remember correctly, but that guarantee was just too big." 18 months after her negotiations, Chyna left WWE in November 2001 and would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame posthumously in 2019 as part of DX. We are moving from the ring to the football field now, as Vince McMahon has commented on being sued by former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck. Luck, who joined the league in 2018, is claiming that his $20 million contract agreed that he would receive all money owed to him if he was terminated without cause. In the league's bankruptcy filings, Luck wasn't listed as a creditor, as he was fired less than a week before the league declared bankruptcy. And in a statement by McMahon's offices, it is being claimed that the WWE chairman had cause to let Luck go. The statement reads, "Oliver Luck's services as commissioner and CEO of the XFL were terminated by a letter sent to him on April 9, 2020, which explained the reasons for the termination. As to the lawsuit he filed, his allegations will be disputed and the position of Mr. McMahon will be set forth in our response to his lawsuit." This is certainly an interesting time for McMahon, who recently released a ton of WWE staff as an alleged cost-cutting measure and could soon be paying a lot more of his own money out if the courts rule that he let Luck go without a good reason. And finally, we're ending with news from WrestleMania 37, as after the success of this year's two-night event, Triple H made the case for the show being a multi-night event in the future. On the After the Bell podcast with Corey Graves, the King of Kings argued that the two shows was much more enjoyable than one 8-hour event, and added, "It's a week-long festival, and I think that the big main stage attraction needs to be those 2 nights, and it'd be this weekend of events. I do think that's probably a change that, with chaos comes the genius, and maybe that is the genius of it." The game added that there are many in the company who have been pushing for WrestleMania to be a 2-night event for quite some time, but for now, it doesn't seem like the 2021 show will be a multi-night affair. According to a report by Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, there are no plans for next year's show to be a 2-night event. That doesn't necessarily mean that plans won't change between now and March 28th next year, but for now, fans can expect one night of entertainment for the showcase of the Immortals, which may take place at the SoFi Stadium in California.